It's the Locked On Flyers podcast for Wednesday, September 3rd, your daily dose of Flyers news, analysis, and high quality content that is talking with Lehigh Valley Phantoms head coach John Snowden.
Can't wait.
You're Locked On Flyers, your daily podcast on the Philadelphia Flyers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, and thanks for making Locked On Flyers your first listen every day. I am Rachel Donner. I've been podcasting about the Flyers, the NHL, and hockey for a decade, and I'm here with prospect expert and Flyers credentialed reporter for 20 years, Russ Cohen. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app by visiting FanDuel.com, and you can win up to $300 in bonus bets if that first $5 bet wins. To keep up with our latest episodes and Flyers news, you can find us at Locked On Flyers on Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and Twitter. And of course, here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We had an incredible conversation with Phantoms head coach John Snowden. We learned so much about the systems and the plan and player development. We're going to bring that to you. Before we do that, of course, yesterday they had the official rededication, renaming center of the now Xfinity Mobile Arena there. And so that's exciting. Looks like, based on Flyer social media, the ice is going down. We're getting close, Russ. We're getting close.
We're really getting close. Once the ice starts going down, I get very excited for hockey season. The weather starts to change slowly. It's fun. It's a fun time of the year. I wonder when people put in that Google search, will the new name come up now? You wonder how quick that takes effect.
Yeah, it usually takes a little bit, but they can also pay money to make it go faster, which I'm sure they did. And since they are the internet service provider, I bet they can figure out a way to make that happen.
Yeah.
All right, we are going to go straight into our interview of John Snowden. We started out with, why did he want the job in the first place? He had a really interesting answer, and we'll get that to you right now. All right, we are thrilled to welcome to Locked On Flyers the head coach of the Lehigh Valley Phantoms, John Snowden. Welcome, Coach.
Thanks for having me. Very excited to get on here with you guys.
So to start off with, based on your experience and your skill, you probably could have some opportunities to go wherever you wanted. Like, what made you want to stay in the Flyers organization and take on this role with the Phantoms?
Well, I think a lot of it for me is, it's opportunity, right? I wanted to be a head coach. As you guys know, I was a head coach in the ECHL at one point, but I'm a believer in is progressions, and I don't think you should ever rush a progression of where you need to be next. Like, I think for me, when I decided to go to Toronto as an assistant coach, leaving the head coaching role in Newfoundland, I was more of in the vein of, like, I don't know the league that well as a coach. I haven't been in it. The players are much better. It's way more organized. The coaches are much better. So I'm okay with taking a step back to take a step forward, to learn the league, to learn the players, and then essentially once I'm ready to move up, then I'm ready to move up. And the thing that's so intriguing here is I love Danny Briere. I love his vision. I love that he believes in his vision, and he doesn't waver off of what that's going to be and where the time frame kind of falls of where he thinks it's going to hit. I like that he allows for myself the space to be creative with how we do the development model and how we're kind of building out a new development plan for our players and how we're implementing that on the ice daily and with our development staff of integrating them in a way tighter way and manner that is really going to be able to touch the players every single day and focus on the things that are going to give them the best success to make it to the NHL, and not only make it there as being an impactful player when they get there, because that's what we need. So just all of that. And Jonesy's the same way. Like, they're so welcoming. They bring you into the family. They treat you like family. They allow you to work and do your job and not really overstep on and like just kind of, manipulate you into spaces that you might not believe in, or maybe they love ideas of like, well, his plan for the development is is not something we've done in the past, but it's a good plan, and we think that's what we need, and that's where we need to move to. So I think all those things tied together was kind of where it fell into a good spot for me to fall into the role here and be fortunate enough to be given this opportunity, which is obviously we know is very important for the organization.
John, where do you fall for puck possession? How much do you stress it, and puck security? Like how much are you teaching that? What's your philosophy on those things?
I'm a very big proponent of possession of the puck. I think, as we all know, it's really hard to get it.
Yep.
When you give it away, it's really hard to get it back. So I think the big key term that I'll use a lot with our guys and we'll use as a staff is we really need to value the puck. You're gonna have to dump pucks in. You're gonna have to forecheck in a game, but I don't think that it's just where we're just throwing a puck in to throw a puck in and then hope to forecheck it and get it back. I think you need to have a plan with how you're going to do that. And when I talk about possession, it's not just trying to get it back and then holding on to it. And I think possession sometimes gets a little misconstrued that they're just going to hold on to the puck and stay on the outside and never attack interior. Well, that's not the case for me. Like, I think you need to value it, but just being smart with every puck that we have. We know that the person that's with the puck is going to be holding on to that as long as they can possibly hold on to that. It's incumbent upon the rest of the group, the four guys off the puck, to put themselves and make themselves available to continue possessions, to also put yourself to get onto the interior, which I think is a massive thing. Like, everybody's structures are built to keep the plays to the outside.
Right.
You need to break the structure. And in order to break the structure, you're going to have to bring a check into you. You're going to have to be comfortable playing inside of a check. You're going to have to be comfortable playing with inside of maybe two checks. And then off the puck, you're going to have to be comfortable playing inside of checks, of playing and splitting the difference and being able to get a puck in a tight space and make the next play and have a plan for the next play. So I'm a big proponent of valuing the puck and making sure when we get it, we make it really hard for the teams to get it back, but not be so possession based that we don't actually attack. I want us to attack.
Right.
And then when we attack, how fast can we get that back? And what's our plan to do that? And I think we have, like, we started some meetings here with my staff here of just what it's going to look like this year, preparing for the rookie camp, and that will lead into our main camp with the Phantoms, and that's going to be the focus of just being relentlessly hard to play against every single night. And when we get it, you're going to have to earn it back. That's the way I see it.
So you just mentioned the rookie camp. Like, what is your role going to be there with your staff relative to the Flyers coaching staff, and how do you see that working to kind of lead into Phantoms camp, like you said?
Yeah, it's our staff we're gonna run it. We're gonna take the reins of the whole thing like it's been in the past. We'll start to we just went through it this morning. We'll start to implement the D zone structure that's going to be different than it has been in the past with the Torts and with Lappy. We will be, like, us and the Flyers will be mirrored when it comes to the D zone part of things for sure. And then there's about 15 other % that we'll tie together, that we want to make sure that everybody in the organization is playing the same way, not just us. It moves all the way down to Reading as well. So every transition that the player has going up, it's going to be an easy transition for them. So we'll start to implement that into the rookie camp. But essentially for us, it's getting those players started, getting them ready for the main camp that they're going to move into after that. Really giving them an opportunity to see what they look like, see what kind of work they put in the summer, see how they can grasp the concepts that we're going to start to put at them, and see really how their brain works and how they compete. And I'm sure you guys have heard talk a lot about, we want to be really hard to play against. We got to be comfortable playing inside of contact. So we hit that in development camp, as you guys well know. Like, that was a big part of our development camp. It's going to be a big part of us talking about playing in the rookie camp, which will lead into the main camp, which will then lead into us, and then we can lead the Reading staff into their group as well, of just being like just a miserable group to play against and being inside of that contact. And that's a big organizational need that we're going to make sure that we really hammer. So it's an opportunity for us to get them into the mindset of what's going to be once they hit the main camp, and then really see how their brains work and how they process all the information that we're throwing at them in a short amount of time.
John, on defense, are you pushing stick disruption first and then physicality when there can be, to kind of get the puck back or to limit the chances of the other team?
For sure. Like, I think the stick is the first point of contact. Like, it can disrupt the puck, and then it's the body contact after that. Your stick steers plays to where you want them to go. And if you layer your sticks properly in the D zone, it's going to take away options into the interior, which again puts them to the outside, and we can set up more doubles and triples, as what we call it. Like if we can set up a cutback and we know our low center's in a good spot where we can double the puck quickly and smash that play, we want to be able to do that. I think in the D zone, it's all about steering plays to where you can put them in a spot where we can get numbers around it quickly, kill a play, and get like a 5-on-2, 5-on-3, and put the onus in the advantageous situation for us so we can get out of there as quick as we can. The beautiful thing with the way that Talk wants to play the D zone, and I see the D zone with our staff here as well, we all see it the same way, and we'll coach it the same way. And we worked through some things when I was there with Talk for his staff meetings here of just some different things that maybe he wants to get better at. And we bounce some ideas off of each other of different language and things that we can do. And we found on a pretty good spot where the D zone is going to be very tight and hard to play against. And it starts with your stick, and then it comes with the layers that come after that.
All right. We'll have more with John Snowden coming up next. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you could end up having money left on the table. And that's why there is Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy to use interface on your laptop or on your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you put off organizing those finances, Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all of your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. It helps you notice an inefficient investment allocation or discover forgotten 401ks from past jobs. You can save even more money and turn it around and invest it. So don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONNHL. We here at Locked On have an important task for y'all. We want to hear about how we're doing at Locked On. We want to learn more about our listeners and make your favorite podcast even better. This is your chance to tell us what you like, what you don't, and answer questions about potential advertising. So go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey to get started. If you complete a survey, you'll be entered for a chance to win one of 10 $100 Amazon gift cards. That's lockedonpodcast.com/survey. You can find the link in the show notes. Thanks for helping us out. And here's more with Phantoms head coach John Snowden. Just following up on that, in terms of adjustment based on the personnel that you have, obviously we don't know, we have a pretty good idea, but not exactly like who's going to make the Flyers versus who's going to play for you. How are you going to adjust those systems based on the personnel that you wind up with? And then tying that into player development of, making sure that individual guys are taking on the defense specifically are taking the right step forward while they're playing within that system, and you can win some games all at the same time.
For sure.
You don't have a hard job at all, right?
No. I mean, that's why we do this, right?
Right.
I think I think no matter what team you have, when it comes to the skill level, I believe that if we get the players that we're supposed to get and we could get, and that's all on what they do in their camp, and hopefully for some of the young guys, they show really well and they get a chance to stick. Like that's what we want, is to see these players start to transition to the NHL. But for me, it's like, I think we can have our team skill wise, but the one thing that you can all have, no matter how skilled or what kind of a player you are, is being hard to play against and being comfortable. Like I said, of being inside of contact, being really just like everything we do when we check, we're on you. Like when they want to break out, there's nowhere to go. When we're in the old zone, we have someone on our back, we're comfortable inside of that. So the development side of it for us would be more of like, we got to put them in those situations as much as we can to get them comfortable playing inside of that. And then you can build out how you want to play and how much skill you want to add inside of being hard to play against in all three zones of the rink. I think that's all based off of strategic, like pre-scout stuff of who you're playing, what kind of a D zone they're playing, what kind of a forecheck are they. I think you have to kind of base that off of that. But I think the biggest identity factor that we want organizationally is being hard to play against and just in your face, no matter what, getting contact. And I don't think it matters what kind of a player you are. I think that's just the decision that you make, that I want to be hard to play against, or I'm just going to be easy to play against. And with myself and with Talk, like, we want to be hard to play against. And I don't think the players are going to have a choice. They're just going to have to buy into that. And the reality of, like, that I try to, especially to the really high offensive minds, the guys that really want pucks into space. Well, in order to get space, you have to create space. And to
Right.
create space, sometimes that's going to start with contact, right? Like, that's the way the game is. And maybe it's an early contact that bumps the D out of a position to give you the space that you want to get. Maybe it's a cut off his hands and you got to get comfortable with him on your back, but you have two places to get out of it. And then all the support off of that, and being able to play with someone on your back and knowing that you have someone on you, but I know where my next play is because we have everybody in the right spot. But so, I mean, I hope that answers your question, but I think the way that we'll play, like, we have an identity that we want to instill in the players and really beat into the identity and the fabric of our team and our organization. And that's going to be the number one thing. And then we'll adjust on all the things as we start to see them kind of roll out their game as we get going. But development wise, it's going to be a big focus of just being relentlessly hard to play against.
John, where do you fall on shot blocking? Blocking shots, but not getting in the way of the goalie's sight line, because they're doing all that head trajectory stuff, and sometimes you could see it could get in the way, make it harder. Where do you stand on that?
Well, I think, like, I want players to block shots, right? And I think that's an identity piece to your team, of being the willingness to put yourself in front of a shot for the team. So we'll talk about it, but I think the one thing that we'll be really focused on, and I know with Talk for sure, is that we'll be more focused with our D of boxing out early and making it really hard to get to our net. So instead of letting them get to our net and then fronting a shot where maybe it hits you in the pants because you can't get all the way in the way, or maybe you just laid on it and it just goes right by, and now the goalie's looking around trying to fly everything. If we can do a good job at doing the best that we can to keep them off the net as long as we can, that's what we want to do. And I know what going through the meetings there, Talk is very big on early box outs, getting stings early and getting chips on players so that it's hard to get to the net and they have to reroute to get to the net, which maybe at sometimes is going to put them in the ice they don't want to be in. And then it allows our goalies to not have to fight through traffic all the time. Like, when it's time to block a shot, like if it's a D to D and the D's sending a sifter off his heels and it's a lazy shot that has nothing on it, that's an opportunity to get off your box out, front the shot, and send us on a breakout.
So you want players to kind of, from the other team, to pay a price if they're going to go to your net. Like, you want them to remember that.
Yes, I don't want them to have. There's no free passes in anything that we're going to do, and I think that's.
I'm sure Hershey will enjoy that.
Yeah, well, I think, I mean, and a team that good, and then it's going to have. We got to make it hard for him, right? Like,
right.
I think, like, that's the one thing I want for certain in our division and with our team, is that when you play our team, even if we're not having our best night and we're trailing or whatever, like you're like, oh God, we have to play the Phantoms again.
Right.
Oh God, we have to play the Phantoms again, And I think once you buy into that and it becomes second nature, like, it puts that little mental grind on the team that you're playing. And then it also puts the onus on players of a little bit more energy. Like, yeah, they don't want to play against us. They don't want to play that way. And I love the old adage of, like, we can beat you any way you want to beat you. If you want to play a skill game, we'll play a skill game. If you want to play a physical game, we'll play a physical game. If you want to get in the corners and we want to grind it out, we'll grind that out with you. Whatever way you want to do it, kind of like the Panthers have been doing for the past 2 years, 3 years now, is they'll beat you any way you need to beat you. But when you play us, you're going to leave the game knowing, well, we played the Phantoms tonight. God, it was miserable. So that's kind of that mindset. So blocking shots is going to be a premium. We want to talk about it. I really want to work on our forwards being better at blocking shots and closing the distance from pucks at the top. And then our D work on, I think, is a big part. Talking with Schultze and how we want to work through the D is really understanding how to get our box outs early and just making it really hard to get to our net.
So you mentioned Nick Schultz, who is obviously sort of transitioning a little bit from player development to your staff there. Like, how are you utilizing guys like him and the other player development staff who've been around and know all of these guys maybe a little bit longer than you?
Well, Schultz is a great piece. Not only his playing experience and the way that he played the game for 1,000 games in the NHL, of being a defensive defenseman and teaching our defenders how to defend. Like, we have guys that are offensive guys that need to learn how to play without the puck in order to be an everyday NHL player. And then he also has the brains of moving them on to the offensive side. And maybe they're really good defenders. And now it's like, okay, well, we're making a breakout. Like, you're trying the 75-foot pass when you have two options. options that are 10 feet away from you that can advance us quickly. And just him having the nuance. And Gator was the same way. Like Jason Smith,
Yeah.
he played forever in the NHL,
Right.
and we've been pretty fortunate when you come to like the coaches that have been here for the D over the last little while. It's like they've had some guys with tons of real-time experience at the highest level against the best players in the world. And with Schultz, he was on the ice when the best player stepped on the ice. He wasn't playing against the third or fourth line. He was playing against the best players, and Gator was the exact same way. So, but Schultz jumping into the staff, I'll pivot back to the coaching and having a handle and working with these guys for as long as he has, like, it gets us moving ahead, and we can really start to implement all the little things that he thinks that we need to be better with our D at, and then all the things that I think that we need to be better with our D at. And we can really start with it early because he's already got the relationship. He doesn't need to build the trust with the players. They know him,
Right.
and it allows him to kind of just start skating right away and doing his thing, and not really worrying about like just, I only get to see him every once in a while. No, he gets to see him every day now. And he gets to really put his knowledge onto those players and start advancing them into the careers that we hope that we can see them have.
Yeah, you have Denver Barkey coming in, and he's a exciting player, obviously terrific offensively, but he's a smaller guy. What's your message to him to kind of like, face this next level of physicality? Because it's always a shock, and I always try and tell fans that, hey, when a player goes from juniors to the AHL is a lot more tougher and a lot better than these guys have ever seen and ever imagined. So what's your message to guys like that?
Well, I think the greatest thing about Barkey is that he's a water bug. Like, he's a dog on the ice. He works so hard. Like, he doesn't shy away from anything. I know he's a slighter guy. He's not the biggest of guys, but he plays like he's 6'4". And I don't think that's going to change when he steps into the pro game. And we've seen him play some preseason games, when the season starts going, and he's been in the rookie tournament before. And like, he's a competitive man, like, and he plays hard. So my message to him is don't change. Like, continue to be who you are. We'll grow you out when it comes to the other stuff. And maybe at this level, you can't, you have to find the contact a little bit earlier to create your offensive space. You have to get through guys a little bit earlier to create some space to make your breakout plays or whatever it may be. But don't change the way you are, because that's what's got him to where he is. It's our job just to build upon the little things, and then maybe the little details of stick detail and feet and just body positioning stuff. I think that's going to be where we really have to push the envelope with him. Like in London, it was a man-on-man system everywhere, and they had a lot of freedom offensively, which they're going to have with me here is a lot more freedom offensively to be creative. But the D zone is going to be one area of the game for especially the guys transferring over from London, where they were in a strict man-on-man system. Well, it's not man-on-man here. It's a zone system, and we're going to have to learn those reads, which will be a real good, Bonk's going to have the same thing. Like, he's coming from a man-on-man system as a D. Like, we're going to have to think a little bit more in the style of the way we want to play, but don't change who you are, because who you are has got you where you are.
Right. And that'll give both of them some flexibility to play in a variety of different roles and a different, system flexibility. Right.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And I just think like not only is Barkey a very hard worker, like, he's a competitive human, like, he's skilled, like, he can make plays, like, and he's not afraid to make plays. And Bonk's the same way. Like, he plays hard, he defends hard, he understands the defensive side of the game, but he can transfer the puck up the ice as good as anybody, So just making sure we reinforce the things that they do so well, and then teach them the little things that they're going to need to learn, especially when you're playing against, veteran type players that have been at this level in the NHL for a long time.
We're going to wrap up with Coach Snowden coming up next.
The NFL season's almost here, and FanDuel's making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel because it fits however you like to bet. Players props, same-game parlay, or even jumping in live as the action unfolds. It's quick, easy, and the best way to add a little more energy to Sundays. I'm going to say take the Ravens for the Super Bowl. I think their odds are worth it right now. So if you're ready to play, download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet.
We really thought that Alex Bump made a smart move in going to the Phantoms at the tail end of last season in terms of his development and learning to adjust to the pro game. And it was very clear that he learned a lot from that playoff run last year. And so where do you see like what he's maybe done over the summer and what your expectations are for him coming into this season?
Well, I think he's made some really good gains. And as you guys saw in the development camp, he looked
Yep.
exceptionally good.
Yeah.
I think the greatest thing for him coming here is that, in college, he had a little bit more time. He had a little bit more space. He's a pretty methodical player. Like he's a pretty cerebral player when he plays the game. He's calculated on where he goes and how he gets there. But I thought early when he got here and we played some of the teams before we got into the playoffs, he had some success. Like we saw, even in the first round of playoffs against Wilkes-Barre, he had a ton of success. And it was a little bit of a different beast of the teams that we were playing. Like they're a little bit more wide open, a little bit more offensive, didn't check as hard as we did see when we play a Hershey, right? And as you get deeper into playoff runs, it's going to be harder and harder. And I thought that he didn't have to have the pace in those games that he did in Hershey. And I thought for him as a learning experience of like in Hershey, like you can't stand, you got to skate. If you don't skate, you're done. Like
did you think they were trying to frustrate him early on?
Oh,
It
for
seemed
sure.
like they
For
were.
sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And that's another opportunity for him to just learn through. I mean, he's a high-end skill guy, right? Like my hope is that I don't see him this year because he makes the
Right.
Flyers. Like that's what I hope, and he should hope that as well. And he's with his summer and with the way he came in here and played and the things that we talked through with myself and Lap, and it's trying to teach him of like your pace has to step up when you're playing these top end teams, and these top end teams in the American League are still a bottom end team in the NHL. Like, and so it's really hard to generate and do the things that you want to do in the American League against top end teams. That's going to be the bottom of the NHL. Like the NHL, like you don't have the time, you don't have the space.
No, there's no time and space.
Everybody's smart. There's nothing, right? Like, so you have to learn how to pick your
gotta make
pace
it.
up and to move your feet. You got to create it in different ways. And maybe that's with contact, maybe that's with your feet, maybe that's being ahead of the play and understanding that, which I think he can do all of that. I think it was just a good opportunity for him to really learn that it's not going to be that easy. It's going to be tough. And like, we gotta teach yourself through this. And those reps for him in the playoffs were very, very big for him.
So just one more question, then we'll wrap up with goaltending. How involved are you in those discussions, and how does that affect your goalie rotation in Lehigh? We know like Carson Bjarnason is obviously like gonna get a lot of reps there, but how is that going to work for you systematically?
I that's a good question. It's a tough question to answer because I think there's a lot of uncertainty in everything when it comes to where the goalies are right now. Like, I mean, I would probably pivot that question more to Danny, but when it comes to what I'm going to have here, like Carson will be a guy that's going to be here, and then whoever else is coming here, if it's, whoever it may be, I don't know what that's going to be, but I think for me, I'm going to lean a lot on the goaltending department of telling me where they're at with it, how it's going to be, what do they feel. I think whoever we have here, they're going to have a rotation of where they're playing games, and we're going to keep giving them reps, and we're going to give them good starts, and we're going to I don't know what it's going to look like, to be completely honest with you. I have no clue where it's going to go, but I just know that I like in talks with Brady Robinson and Kim Dillabaugh up there, like just the brief discussions that we've had is, they'll kind of put everybody in the places where they need to be. And our job is to just make sure that they get the right reps when they're here and they're ready to go when they get up there. And then, Carson's he's a great, like, I love looking at Carson. Like, I don't know about you guys, when you look at goaltenders, when they get in net, you look at him and you're like, oh, like that kid's like, he's a goalie, he just looks
you can see the confidence, how they're positioned.
You know what I mean on that, like Spag, he takes the net, he's in good spots, like, and Carson's one of those guys, when I look at him, like Carter Hart was the same way, and Carey Price, they just look, they look like they're like just so good in the net, and Carson has that look to him. He's showing some really good flashes, obviously in his junior career, he was excellent. And we've seen him in the rookie camps, and we've seen him in the development camps where his game's coming along. I think it's going to be a transition. I think for anybody, I mean, the reality of it is transitioning from goaltending and the D are the hardest places to transition from
Yeah.
college junior to pro. Like those are the two hardest positions. And I think those two positions need the most amount of time in the minors to really figure out the game and to understand when it's time and not rush those situations. I think forwards you can get away with a little bit more than you can D and goalies. So it's going to be really important on us that we set them up for the most success that they can have. And that's with our structure and the way we play and the way we defend, and also giving them like the quality reps of development ice. And they need to get on there ahead of time and making sure we really put away the time for whoever it is going to be here, especially with Carson is here right away. He's an important piece for us moving down the road. So we got to do it right with him. Hope that answers your question.
It does.
No, it does.
Yeah.
We are absolutely looking forward to a great season for y'all in Lehigh Valley and maybe a nice little playoff run at the end there. Not to put too much pressure on you.
That's the plan. That's why we do this, right?
Yeah,
At the end of the day, we need to make players better and we want to win. So, I've been a big believer in, and I won't come off of it. I'm a very process driven person. I believe in sticking to a process and working through it. And I think, and we've talked about it a lot here, if we develop the players the right way and we teach them the right things and we hammer the development pieces that we think are super important to the player, it's only going to make us a better hockey team and we're going to win games. So we have a really strong development plan in place. We have really strong and important people that are in the development staff and inside of our staff and the coaching staffs in general and within the organization where like we're going to develop in the right way and we're going to win a lot of games when we do it.
No doubt.
Yeah.
All right. Once again, thanks so much to Lehigh Valley Phantoms head coach John Snowden for joining us on the show.
Thanks for having me, guys.
All right. Once again, thanks to Phantoms head coach John Snowden. Man, we learned so much in that conversation. And I think especially about the systems and how in practice it's going to work in terms of translating between the Flyers and the Phantoms and even Reading.
Yeah. I mean, no offense to how it was run before, but now I feel like it's a true development system where before we kind of knew it was broken. Like, we just knew, and now they're mending that, and that's a big deal. I mean, just to mention Reading is a big thing, and so like that should really make Flyers fans happy. Should be noteworthy for the media too.
Yeah, and I really got the sense that he has his own system and his own style of running things, but he is absolutely going to take advantage of the knowledge base of the people around him, like when he was talking about Nick Schultz, for instance.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about the continuity with Nick Schultz, and continuity is important, and so I mean, that's a valuable thing to have. Clearly, he's talking about good habits all the time, and that's how you get good development, is by good habits, by having all the players kind of pull the same rope and do the same thing. And if they do that, that's good. And I feel like now when players do jump levels, they're going to be more prepared, where in the last couple of years it was kind of like, well, John will wait until he gets them up to speed. So now it's a little different.
Yeah, I think so. And I think he really showed that in how he talked about Denver Barkey and Alex Bump in particular. With Barkey, I think what we wanted to hear was let him be himself, but then learn the other things to complement his game. And that's exactly what we got from him.
It is. But he pointed out, like, he's going to have to do things to find space, and some of those things may take a little while. And I mean, that's all part of development. And, talking about what Danny Briere has kind of put in place here with the layers, like, this has taken years to kind of get done. And in a way, it's stalled a little bit. Not any fault of Danny's. It's just kind of what happened. And now I feel like it's going to take a nice jump this year.
Yeah, I absolutely think so. But that was such a great conversation. I feel like we learned quite a bit about the Phantoms and the Flyers systems in particular. Looking forward to seeing how it plays out at rookie camp and then into training camp. That will do it for today's show. We will be back on Friday, where Russ is going to report from the NHL Rookie Showcase, where Flyers rookie Carson Bjarnason is our representative there, so that'll be fun. We've got the mailbag, which we skipped on today's show for the interview, and so we're going to bring that to you. Make sure you get those questions in. Plus, we're going to wrap up our poll question on the Flyers goaltending responsibilities. So make sure you have answered that. The link to the poll is in the show notes and it's on our YouTube channel. If you've got those mailbag questions, send them in via email to lockedonflyers@gmail.com. You can let us know on any of our socials or comment on our YouTube channel. I'm Rachel. I'm on Blue Sky and Twitter at @rmiriam. That's RMIRIAM.
I'm Russ. I'm at Sportsology on the same socials, SPORTSOLOGY.
Thanks for making Locked On Flyers your first listen. Today, for your next listen, check out the Locked On NHL podcast. There is no offseason. It brings you the daily league-wide stories that matter most with local coverage you love from Locked On. I'm on the Friday show. You can find it on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Have a great day, everyone.